been completely solid, but the phrase AEW Shockwave has been kind of permeating through wrestling dirt sheets and news outlets. And Dave Meltzer mentioned something, but he said
It's
a lot of
probably fake.
things without really saying anything. And basically, Tony Khan also in his press conference discussed the future of AEW and how the media rights deals were going. And in a recent report, they filed for that trademark called AEW Shockwave. Tony Khan addressed it, and Fightful reported that AEW filed for this new trademark. It also mentioned that the trademark was filed for the purposes of entertainment in the nature of wrestling contests, which could mean many things. It could mean PLE. It could mean new show. It could mean I don't even know. Documentary, TV special.
Be like a tough enough.
Sure, it could be a tough enough. Well, I'll ask this at the end, but during the media scrum after All Out, Corey Lee, who works for the Wrestling Observer, asked Tony Khan about the trademark filing, and Tony Khan mentioned the promotion is set to create a shockwave in the wrestling business, so I guess he used that keyword in there. He also mentioned the success that his company has seen in the past few weeks, and Tony Khan, and I quote, said, "I think it would be safe to say that AEW is set to create a shockwave throughout all professional wrestling. And I think people tonight are going to be talking about what they saw at All Out, which happened a week or two ago, which was a huge business success for us. Did really, really well here at the Now Arena. Big sellout show and also really well on pay-per-view. And I think it bodes really well and creates a lot of anticipation for what's going to happen, which happened on Dynamite. And we can talk about that as well. And we'll continue to send that shockwave through the world of professional wrestling here in AEW. So pretty vague. And there were also recent reports about a potential deal between Tony Khan and Fox, because now Fox has a wrestling ring-shaped sized hole in their wrestling schedule as SmackDown's deal basically went up, and USA is now in charge of SmackDown. So there were talks and reports of AEW Shockwave potentially being a 1 hour wrestling show on FS1, which is a channel subsidiary of the Fox media conglomerate. FS1, I don't know what popular programming is on there, but I do know it is a channel. So that is interesting. So it's not very clear. And Dave Meltzer mentioned that it might be a show that's 1 hour, but he also kept it vague. So I think what we can do is just leave it into, just turn it into like a speculative segment. And I want you to guys tell me what you think Shockwave is and where do you think this trademark is headed?
Who's going first? Me? Guess
You said something.
Yeah, you
go.
I'm actually hoping it's some kind of like a developmental show, like an NXT or something. I think they can benefit from like a show like that, because if this means that they get rid of Rampage, which is also on Friday, I imagine Shockwave would be this new Friday show for them. I'm hoping it's some kind of like a developmental show. And then Collision and Dynamite would be their Raw, SmackDown, I guess. So hopefully it's that.
That'd be interesting. I mean, I was throwing around some like ideas of maybe Collision and some Dynamite being on TBS and TNT, and then maybe Shockwave is like a HBO Max show, like an hour programming on their streaming service. Maybe that's a possibility, since that is all under that umbrella.
Well, what's the Fox thing though?
Well, again, that's an idea that they threw out there. So we don't know necessarily if it's an actual thing.
Oh,
there were talks about it. They say rumors, but like we hear like rumors all the time. So there's a possibility there might be something with Fox, but there's nothing solidified yet. So it could be, and it could be a whole lot of nothing about it. Um, I mean, the other thing that just kind of like worries me, and we've already talked about it, like with the introduction of Collision when they debuted that, when they already had Rampage. So now, if we're following that logic of like, oh, this is another show, that is a fourth show that Tony Khan has to be in charge of in terms of creative. And a lot of people already say that he's spread thin creatively because he does so many things, like he's trying to be like a Vince McMahon, but he also owns like a football, like European football team and a American football team.
All types of football.
Yeah, all types of
Yeah.
football, European and American. So I don't know, like I get stressed out like balancing like a bunch of things, let alone like major franchises and shows across different TV channels and yeah, and talent and all that stuff. Like I don't even know how he does it besides people saying
It's obvious.
the jokes about the obvious stuff with the coffee and things stronger than coffee. Let's just say that. But yeah, what about you,
every
David?
day.
What do you think it's going to be, David? Is this is this a nothing burger, or where do you think this is heading?
I think it's a fourth show. I would like it to be like something that's more for like undercard and like the trios, like maybe highlight the trios division a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You feel me?
Maybe it's like WWE Speed Show, something on X,
A little faster.
or it's on Truth Social. That'll be their niche.
Only a minute and a half.
Wait, I was going to say, it's 33 minutes.
Yeah.
Rumble.
Faster than that.
30 seconds only,
Right.
and a 10-second ad. Do you guys think that Rampage would exist? Because I feel like that is one thing that I feel like they could easily just cut off if their intention is to have this new show. Or do you feel like he's like, you know what? No, I want all of these shows happening without any gutting.
Well, here's my
What's the
take.
weakest show? Isn't Collision the weakest show?
Rampage is the weakest show. Collision, Collision, they're basically Rampage existed, and then Collision was created in response to apparently the CM Punk issues. I don't know if that's necessarily entirely true, but it sounded like it was a way to divide them. Then CM Punk left, and they're like, well, we still have Collision. So they treated that as like their B show. And then they still had Rampage. And yeah, so.
Well, I saw an advertisement for the Thanksgiving Eve show that they do at Wintrust. And usually they were doing the taping of Rampage after Dynamite, but it was saying they were doing Dynamite and Collision on that day. So that
could be that because it is a holiday week, so maybe they're taping Collision all at once,
but not Rampage.
I guess that's true.
Wasn't advertised.
It might be moved around programming wise because of like whatever Turner's got going on, but also that's Survivor Series weekend.
Mm-hmm. They don't want to compete with that shit.
Yeah, and Collision's already kind of done it a couple of times where they've changed their time to like, was it SummerSlam when they went early?
Yeah, with Collision.
Yeah.
And then Triple H was like, let's start a pre-show at the same time too. So they couldn't push it up any higher. So they're like, well, guess we'll just compete with the pre-show.
They won't even put any matches.
Yeah.
It'll just be on.
I mean, I feel like that takes some cojones too. They're like, we're still going to beat you. We're not going to have matches. So we're just going to have people talking at a table about matches and see if that beats your wrestling show.
Here's the real question. Are we going to keep tradition and go to Thanksgiving Eve?
We'll see. If tickets are cheap, I don't mind.
I like 34.
It depends how much it is. $20, sure. 25, why not? Is it at Wintrust?
Yeah.
Are tickets on sale yet, or is that still?
We probably gotta leave even earlier this time because it's gonna be the day before Thanksgiving, so everybody's gonna be leaving town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, the first time wasn't as bad as the last time.
That's true. Maybe there'll be even less people this year. It's the law of diminishing returns. So, guess we'll see. We'll talk about it in the private chat, but I'm interested. But yeah, any other thoughts? Like, what do you guys think about Shockwave? Andres, do you feel like it's a show, an NXT type show? Is it a PLE? Maybe it's not even like a wrestling show.
No, I
New
don't think
video
so.
game.
Right, it's not a it's like their total divas thing. No,
Yeah,
I don't
maybe.
know. Maybe though. Yeah. I want to say it's another show, an extension of another show, but it's like at the same time, like why? I don't know. But they're putting a lot behind it, saying it's gonna shock, the shockwave. So I don't know. I feel like it's more than what it's probably gonna be. At least that's what they're anticipating.
And I
With
feel
how
like
much
it's just like with Tony Khan and his big like language. He's done this, like, this is a similar pattern to other announcements that he's made, and it ends up being like tickets are now on sale for All In, 2025. Like, people are thinking, and again, it's the fault of us and people in general, where we're basically creating our own ideas in our head and then get disappointed because it's literally just like, oh, the location of the next All In
Pre-sale.
Texas, yeah, pre-sale. So we'll see. But Shockwave is there. There's either a lot of people who are BSing, which is completely a possibility based on all these dirt sheets. I feel like Meltzer, there's a lot that I have issues with him, but I do think that there are some connections that he does have where he can pull a nugget of truth to it. So wrestling show, at the bare minimum, if that's what he's hearing, I don't see that as not being true. So
Well,
we'll
trademark.
see.
Well, it's a trademark, right? So it's only just the name.
It is, yes. Yes. It's a trademark, and that definition that I mentioned about it being entertainment in the nature of wrestling contests. So that sounds like a wrestling show,
Right.
Your new cologne.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Want to
Yeah, they
smell
heard
like a
our
bloody
they heard our
vein?
show from the other week
Yeah.
about Nitro. They're like, let's just do Shockwave.
I'd
I mean,
wear
that's
it.
a cool show name, I gotta say. But now you're really giving me WCW vibes with thunder, and you're involving something with lightning and weather,
He's electric.
electricity. So hey, why not? But yeah, we'll see. We'll see where this goes. I foresee it being an hour show, but again, I stand by that. There's a lot of wrestling, and I do think that you keep spreading yourself thin, you'll continue to have less capital with your fans in terms of like how much are they willing to shell out for tickets when there are so many shows that they have the ability to attend, and there will be folks who won't go to your other things. Like, you're adding more stuff to people's like schedules and plates in the buffet, and there will be eventually, like, like shows that we already see and talk about, people complain about low attendance and stuff. So adding another show to give people more options to not attend another show versus another show, I think, is a real thing.
I think
But
somebody asked him during the scrum, what's the percentage of us knowing more about it within the month or within the next month or something? I think he said like 90% or something.
for the TV
Shockwave.
deal,
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
for
the TV,
Shockwave.
TV deal. I think you're right. It is TV deal. Yeah, the TV
Yeah,
deal.
because he's been talking about that. I mean, they've been talking about this deal for
Since
months.
the summer. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's probably some correlation with that Shockwave. That's my take. And the deal.
I think so.
We'll
I mean,
see.
I do think it is a good idea to stick to a studio for certain shows. You can have Dynamite be the touring show, and you can attach, I guess, Rampage or maybe even Shockwave. Hell, get rid of Rampage, attach Shockwave if they think they need like a branding refresh and start from scratch. Get a creative team of people. I know that it's his baby and stuff, and he wants to be in charge of things, but I do honestly think that you will be creatively bankrupt if you keep spreading yourself that thin, and that no one is superhuman, so more to come. But our main